October 14th, 1977, Bing Crosby's funeral. The church is packed. Frank Sinatra is crying, Dean Martin is crying, Hollywood stars, politicians, fans, everyone is there. Bob Hope is there too, sitting in the front row, tears streaming down his face. But no one knows that Bob isn't just crying for Bing. He's also crying for a friendship, for a mistake, for an apology he could never give, because 14 months ago he made a joke, and Bing never spoke to him again. Now it's too late. And Bob Hope would carry this pain for 26 more years, until he died in 2003. This is the story of how Hollywood's most famous friendship ended, the story of how a 50-year brotherhood collapsed in a single night, and the story of how one joke opened an unforgivable wound. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby's story began in the 1940s. Both were the biggest stars of their era. Bing was the king of radio and films. Bob was the prince of comedy. And one day Paramount Studios brought them together. Road to Singapore, the first road film. The concept was simple. Two friends go to exotic places, have adventures, fall in love with a woman, get into funny situations. Bing and Bob were so natural that the script became almost unnecessary. They improvised most scenes. The film was a huge success. Then came Road to Zanzibar, then Road to Morocco, then Road to Utopia. They made 7 road films in total, and each one had the same magic, the real friendship of two friends. Because this wasn't just acting. Bing and Bob were genuinely friends. They spent time together off set too. They played golf. They had meals. They knew each other's families. Bing's children called Bob Uncle Bob. 50 years, half a century. Such a long friendship that its equal was rarely seen in Hollywood. Everyone saw them as brothers. But like every friendship, this one had cracks too. Small cracks. Cracks no one noticed. Until Bing and Bob were very different people. Bing was calm, introverted, a serious man. He didn't talk much off set. He liked intimate settings. He didn't like drawing too much attention. Bob was the complete opposite. He was constantly energetic, constantly talking, constantly joking. He loved the spotlight. He loved being Bob Hope everywhere. He never shut down. This difference wasn't a problem for years, because they complemented each other. Bing's silence was balanced by Bob's energy. Bob's jokes were softened by Bing's seriousness. But by the 1970s, something began to change. Bing was aging, approaching his 70s. He didn't have the energy he used to. He was making fewer films, going on stage less. He had withdrawn even more into himself. Bob, however, was still the same Bob. Despite being in his 70s, he was still everywhere, doing TV shows, appearing at charity events, giving concerts for troops. Bob Hope didn't know how to stop, and Bob's jokes continued. He made jokes about Bing too, like he always did. Friendly jokes, loving jokes, but Bing wasn't laughing anymore. 1975, in an interview, Bob Hope talks about Bing. The interviewer asks, "Are you still close with Bing?" Bob answers with a laugh. Bing's running away from everyone now. He doesn't even answer the phone. I think he's gotten old and cranky. Laughter in the studio. Bob made a joke, a light joke, harmless, but Bing hears this, and he's offended. Because what Bob said is true. Bing really is avoiding people, but the reason isn't crankiness, it's exhaustion. Tired from 50 years on stage, 50 years in front of cameras. Bing calls Bob. "Bob, what you said in that interview, it went a bit too far." Bob is surprised. "Bing, I was just joking. You know me. I always joke." "I know, Bob, but these jokes aren't funny anymore." Bob takes it lightly. Okay, don't be upset. I'll be more careful next time." But Bob isn't careful. Because for Bob Hope, joking is a way of life. He can't stop himself. March 27th, 1976, Beverly Hilton Hotel. A big charity night. Hollywood's most famous names are there. Bing Crosby and Bob Hope are also invited. Bing is sitting in the front row. His wife Catherine is beside him. Bing looks quiet, slightly tired, but he's there. Because this is a charity event, and Bing always supports charitable causes. Bob Hope takes the stage. Applause. Bob grabs the microphone and starts his monologue. Jokes come one after another. The audience is laughing. Then Bob starts talking about Bing. "Bing Crosby is here tonight. Let's give him a round of applause." Applause. Bing smiles, waves. Bob continues. "Bing rarely appears anymore. I think he sits at home counting his money." Small laughter. An innocent joke. But Bob doesn't stop. "Bing is so rich, even his kids' names are account numbers." More laughter. Bing's smile slightly fades. Bob makes another joke. Bing's kids don't call him Dad, they call him ATM. The hall erupts in laughter. But Bing isn't laughing anymore. His face is stone. Catherine squeezes Bing's hand. "Calm down," she says quietly. Bob Hope continues his jokes on stage. About Bing's family, his money, his old age. Each one light jokes. But they pile up. And Bob is there, talking with other celebrities, laughing. When he sees Bing, he opens his arms. "Bing, how was it? Good night, wasn't it?" Bing responds. His voice low but harsh. "Bob, I need to talk to you." Bob's smile fades. "Sure, Bing, what's wrong?" "There on stage, the jokes you made about my family. They were unacceptable." Bob dismisses it. "Bing, come on. I was just joking." Everyone laughed. "Yes, Bob, everyone laughed, but I didn't. You can't joke about my children. Understand?" Bob gets uncomfortable. "Bing, we've been joking with each other for 50 years. What changed?" Bing's voice rises. "What changed is this, Bob. I'm old now, tired, and your constant belittling of me isn't funny anymore." He's gotten old, cranky, sitting on his money. Always the same jokes. I'm sick of it. Bob gets defensive. "Bing, this is your problem. I'm just entertaining people. This is my job." "No, Bob, your job isn't to humiliate me, but you've been doing this for years, and I can't take it anymore." Bob gets angry. "So what do you want? Should I apologize?" Bing looks at him. A long silence. Then answers. "It's too late now, Bob. An apology won't work." And Bing turns and leaves. Bob just stands there, shocked, angry, and that night, a 50-year friendship cracked. April 1976. Bob Hope tries calling Bing. The phone doesn't answer. He leaves messages. No response. He writes a letter. "Bing, I'm sorry for what I said that night. I was just joking. Forgive me. Bob." The letter comes back, unopened. Bob asks mutual friends. "Have you seen Bing? Is he talking to me?" Frank Sinatra answers. "Bob, Bing is very angry. Give him some time." But Bing doesn't give time. He's decided he's done with Bob Hope. May 1976. They run into each other at a golf tournament. Bob approaches. "Bing, let's talk." Bing turns his head. "We have nothing to talk about, Bob." "Bing, we've been friends for 50 years. You can't end it like this." Bing turns to him, his eyes cold. "We were friends for 50 years, Bob, but you destroyed those 50 years in a single night." And he walks away. Bob just stands there, in the crowd, alone. March 1977. Bing and Catherine are having dinner at a restaurant in Los Angeles. The door opens. Bob Hope and his wife Dolores walk in. The two couples make eye contact. Bob smiles, approaches. "Bing, what a surprise. How are you?" Bing stands up. Bob extends his hand to shake hands. Bing looks at him. A long moment. Then doesn't extend his hand. Turns to Catherine. "Let's go." Catherine is surprised. "Bing, our food hasn't even come yet. I said let's go." Bing walks out of the restaurant. Catherine runs after him. Bob stands there, his hand still extended, but into emptiness. The restaurant goes silent. Everyone saw the scene. Hollywood legend Bob Hope, rejected. Bing Crosby wouldn't even shake his hand. Bob's wife Dolores quietly says, "Come on, Bob, let's sit down." But Bob doesn't sit. He walks outside, gets in his car, and cries. 1977 progresses. Bing is having health problems. Tired, weak, but still not talking to Bob. September 1977. Mutual friends intervene. "Bing, Bob wants to make peace with you. Please, take his call." Bing answers, "No. If Bob has something to say to me, he can call." "Bing, he's called dozens of times. You don't answer, because I don't want to talk." October 1977. Then goes to Spain to play golf. Bob Hope watches the news. Bing in Spain. The news says. Bob picks up the phone, dials the number. Bing's hotel number. The phone rings. Once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answers. "Hello?" Bob's heart races. "Bing, it's me, Bob." Silence. Then Bing's voice. "Bob, I have nothing to say to you." "Bing, please, forgive me. Don't end our 50-year friendship like this." Bing answers. "You ended it, Bob. That night, on that stage, and now it's too late." Bing. The phone hangs up. Bob Hope looks at the phone and understands. Bing won't forgive. October 25, 1977. Morning. Spain. Bing Crosby is playing golf. Happy. Free. Same day evening. Bob Hope is home watching television. The phone rings. "Mr. Hope, this is Catherine Crosby." Bob jumps up. "Catherine, did Bing forgive me? Will he talk to me?" Catherine's voice trembles. "Bob, Bing is dead." Time stops. Bob drops the phone, falls to his knees. What did you say?" "This afternoon, while playing golf. Heart attack." "Bob, I'm so sorry." Bob starts crying like a child. "No, we didn't even talk, we didn't even make peace." Catherine quietly says, "I know, Bob. Bing wanted that too. But he was very stubborn." The phone hangs up. Bob is there, on the floor, crying alone. His friend of 50 years is dead, and his last words were, "Too late." October 14, 1977, Los Angeles. Bing Crosby's funeral. Bob Hope sits in the front row, tears flowing nonstop. Frank Sinatra beside him, looks at him. "Bob, be strong." Bob can't answer, just cries. The funeral service begins. The priest speaks. Bing Crosby was a great artist, a great father, a great friend. Bob trembles when he hears that word friend, because he knows. In Bing's final days, he wasn't a friend. Bing hadn't forgiven him. The service ends. The casket is carried out of the church. Bob stands up, joins the pallbearers, carries Bing one last time. At the cemetery, the casket is lowered into the ground. Bob stands at the head, crying, and quietly whispers, "Forgive me, Bing. Please forgive me." But Bing isn't there anymore. No forgiveness either, just silence. After 1977, Bob Hope lived. He lived 26 more years. He died in 2003 at age 100. But those 26 years were torture for Bob, because he could never forget Bing. Every year on October 25th, Bing's death day, Bob would go to a church, light a candle and pray. When Bing was mentioned in interviews, Bob's eyes would fill, his voice would tremble. "Bing was my best friend," he'd say. "I miss him so much," but he never said, "I lost him because I made a mistake." In a 1995 interview, a journalist asked, "Mr. Hope, is it true you spoke with Bing in his final days?" Bob hesitated, his eyes filled. "No, we couldn't talk, and that's my life's greatest regret." In 2000, at age 97, in a documentary, Bob Hope said, "If I could take one thing back, I'd take back that night in 1976. I'd take back the jokes I made about Bing, but it's too late now. He's dead. And I'm still waiting. Maybe one day, there, up above, Bing will forgive me." Bob Hope and Bing Crosby were friends for 50 years. They made 7 films, shared thousands of stages, made millions laugh. But one night, at a charity event, Bob made a joke, a few sentences, a few minutes, and 50 years disappeared in those few minutes. Bing didn't forgive, didn't want to forgive, maybe couldn't forgive. Because Bob's jokes weren't just words, they were the final drop of years of accumulated frustration, and Bob could never forgive himself either. 2 men, 2 legends, lost each other, over a misunderstanding, over pride, over a lack of communication. Bing died in 1977, Bob died in 2003, but their friendship died in 1976. Today when you watch the Road to films, you see 2 friends, laughing, joking, looking out for each other. But now you know, real life isn't like the movies. In real life, some wounds don't heal, some words can't be taken back, some friendships can't be repaired once broken. Bob Hope cried at the funeral, "Forgive me, Bing." But Bing couldn't hear anymore, and perhaps the most painful thing was this, Bob's regret. Bing dying without forgiving, and a friendship ending without forgiveness. A 50-year friendship ended in one night, and 2 legends died without learning to forgive.